Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be taking another look at the band Zornheym. Now I've covered this band quite extensively in the past. We looked at the first album where, I can never get the title around the right way, it's Where Hatred and Darkness Dwell? Or Where Darkness and Hatred Dwell. It's one of those two. And then they did the Zornheym Sleep Experiment, which I also looked at some of the tracks off that. Now very recently they released a new track, which I don't believe is off any of the current albums, called None for All. And they asked me if I wouldn't mind having a look at it. So, you know, given that I really do enjoy the music by this band, I thought, you know what, why the fuck not? You know, all their music has been outstanding. I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. So, you know, a new Zornheym track, sign me the fuck up. Now, they very, very generously provided me with the lyrics to the song. So thank you very much for that. It's greatly appreciated. And, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this because for anybody who hasn't heard of or hasn't checked out Zornheym yet, first of all, what the hell is wrong with you? Go and have a look. And second of all, it sort of covers a subject, or it's all based around Zornheym Mental Institute, where these weird sadistic doctors have been taking patients into like the bowels, the very depths of this institute, and they've been sort of experimenting on them. At least that's what the second album was about. Zornheym Sleep Experiment was, you know, keeping people alive for ridiculous amounts of time to see the effects that it took on the patient. The first album, I think, if I remember correctly, that was just talking about the different sort of patients that were in there. And there was a couple in there that did deal with sleep as well. There were graphic novels that accompanied the first two albums. Unfortunately, my copy of the graphic novel from the first album got destroyed when all my ceilings and stuff fell through, and I never got hold of the second one because, well, it didn't seem to be any point if I didn't have the first one anymore. But anyway, I'm just waffling on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what this one is. Like I said, they've generously provided the lyrics for the track, so we'll just jump in and have a look. But before we do that, if you could just take a moment to like and subscribe, it would really, really, really help me out. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 years, and as it stands, not even 2% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed, which is a bit disheartening. So, you know, if you could like and subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything, it takes a fraction of a second, and it does make the biggest difference to me and to the channel. But anyway, we'll jump into this and see what we have. So, None for All by Zornheym. Let's have a look. Yes, fucking yes. That is such a good piece of music. I fucking love that piece of music. It is brilliant. Every piece of music that this band has released has been fucking epic. That I couldn't point to any track that was lacking by this band. Every single song is an absolute fucking banger. And I hate using that word. You know, it's an absolute banger. I hate using it. But I can't think of any other way to describe it. It is just amazing. Every track by this band has always been exceptional. And this is no different. Absolutely brilliant. I love the performance. You know, the band's got a very specific sound and a very specific style to the riffs. You know, it's one of those bands that you listen to it and go, yeah, that's Zornheym. I can tell just by the structure of riffs, just by the specific sound and, you know, how it's put together. You know, you can tell who it is. And the vocal performance by Bendler here is just amazing. You know, he's got his sort of deeper guttural growls. He's got the slightly higher, sort of not quite screamed harsh vocals, but they're getting there. They're close to it. Then he's got like the really sort of clear, almost power metal clean vocals. And then at the end, I don't know, I can't recall ever hearing this before, but it was more of a sort of spoken, it was an almost spoken kind of singing style, which was different from his clean vocal style. So, you know, he's really mixing it up here. And this is something that a lot of people, when they look at death metal vocalists, you know, we sit there, we do all these growls and screams and stuff like that, and people turn around and go, how the hell do you not fuck up your throat? In fact, I was actually talking to my violin teacher a couple of weeks ago, and she she wanted to see an example of me singing, because she knew that I was previously a singer in a band. And she was like, I want to see a video of you singing. I was like, you really don't want to. You're not going to like it. But she found some. She looked it up. She listened to it. And when I went to a violin lesson, I think it's about 2 weeks ago now, she turns to me and she goes, I found a video of your singing. It's awful. But she didn't mean it was awful as in, you know, it was rubbish, it was terrible. It was like, it's something that obviously she wouldn't listen to, but she appreciated the skill that goes into it. Because to do harsh vocals, it does take a lot of skill. A lot of people seem to fail to understand that. It takes a lot of skill to do harsh vocals and not fuck up your throat. And that's one of the things she asked me, is like, how can you do that and not fuck up your throat, or not mess up your throat, because she wouldn't curse it like that. But she's like, how do you do that and, you know, still be able to speak the next day? And I was like, it takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of skill. And with Bendler here, you know, he's doing these really, really harsh vocals, and then he goes straight into those clean vocals. And that's just a testament to how well he knows his craft. You know, there are other bands that do it as well. You know, like Opeth, for example. Mikael Åkerfeldt was regarded as one of the best growl vocal performers in heavy metal music, because of the way he could switch from his harsh vocals into his very, very clean vocals. You know, there's a drastic difference between the two styles, and to be able to go from harsh vocals into clean vocals like that takes a lot of skill. And, you know, you've really got to commend Bendler for that, because, you know, the style of his harsh vocals, you know, like I say, he does those very deep harsh ones, then he does those sort of higher pitched screamed ones, almost screamed ones, and then he goes into that almost power metal sounding clean vocal. You know, there's such a difference between those three styles. It takes a lot of skill, and, you know, you've got to be impressed by it. So yeah, I could spend ages talking to people about how death metal vocals does take a lot of skill, because it really does, because you've got to be able to do it without fucking your throat up, and it's very easy to do it wrong and fuck up your throat. So you know, it does take a hell of a lot of skill. But anyway, now, like I said, with the previous albums, Hatred and Darkness. Is it Hatred and Darkness or Darkness and Hatred? I can never remember which way round it goes. But anyway, like I said, the first album, it was mostly talking about each individual patient. You know, there was the cellist who had like a demon growing on the back of his head. There was, I think it was a girl who couldn't sleep or had like demons sort of visiting her in her sleep, sort of thing. You know, the first album was sort of talking about all the different patients. The second album, like I said, was more about the doctors like conducting immoral experiments on patients, you know, taking them down into the basement of the hospital and conducting these horrible experiments on them, you know, depriving them of sleep to see the effects that it had on the human body, you know, and just really fucking with them. And this track seems to sort of come after that, because it's talking about the patients revolting. Not revolting as in, revolting as in, you know, fighting back. The patients are revolting. Yes, I know, I've seen them. I'm sorry. Anyway. So yeah, this is about the sort of patients sort of now fighting back, going, you know, what you're doing to us is fucked up, and we're not taking this shit anymore. And that's what it seems to be about. So the track goes, blackened minds, contorted spines, sickness within, all for one, none for all. We're the outcasts from the herd, damned by the damned, insanity overload. So, blackened mind, contorted spine. So this is the inmates speaking. You know, so they've like blackened mind. You know, they're mentally disturbed, most of them. You know, this was sort of outlined, like I said in the first album, you know, a lot of mentally disturbed people in it. Well, I mean, they're in an asylum, so they've, you know, more often than not, they're going to be mentally disturbed. Contorted spines, you know, possibly from experiments, possibly from like birth defects or injuries of the sort, you know. So, you know, these are sick, unwell people. Sickness within, all for one and none for all. So they're sort of joined together. You know, they're sort of united by their disability, as it were. You know, they might all be very different from each other, but they all share one thing in common. We're the outcasts from the herd, you know, especially in times when these sorts of asylums were like in prominence. I can't think. It's not Elizabethan, it's before that. I can't remember. But anyway, the sort of time period when this sort of suggests where it's set. You know, any people with, like, supposed mental illnesses. I mean, women were seen to be mentally disturbed just for speaking their mind or reading books. You know, they were outcast because they were free thinkers, and obviously there was something wrong with them. You know, that sort of thing. Damned by the damned. So they are the damned, they are the cursed, they are the unwanted, but they're being classified as that by these sick, twisted doctors that are doing all these horrible experiments on them. So they are damned by the damned, as it were. Insanity overload. You know, obviously they're in an insane asylum, plus the fact just the very concept of what's going on is enough to drive someone mad. Broken psyche and withered limbs, with lidless eyes we're joining the parade, marching to our expiration, but we are but flesh, feeding gluttony. So again, broken psyche and withered limbs, you know, again, the illnesses that inflict these people that are in these buildings. With lidless eyes we're joining the parade. Now, I mean, lidless eyes, that could be a sort of suggestion towards the Zornheym sleep experiments where people were being experimented on. You know, maybe they had their eyelids cut off so they couldn't sleep. I don't recall that ever being actually mentioned within the album, but you know, it's one of those things that could probably have happened. Or they're just saying, you know, we're sleepless, indefatigable. We are not going to rest until, you know, we fight back, until we overcome this tyranny that's being oppressed upon us. We're joining the parade. So, like, gang war, parade of these patients wanting to fight back, marching to our expiration. You know, they are moving forward with such purpose that, you know, there's every chance that they're going to end up dead, but they don't care. They want to fight back because they don't want to be treated like this anymore. Excuse me. We are but flesh, feeding gluttony. So, you know, we're only human. We're just humans. But all we're doing is feeding the greed of the people doing these experiments, because obviously they're going to be getting something out of it, you know, whether it be like from governments or, you know, so they can get something published in a medical journal and make loads of money, sort of thing. You know, they're feeding the greed and the gluttony of these people that are doing these horrible things to them. Then it cut to a nurse and says, "It's Dr. Claudia from Wing A. The inmates are rioting." To which was replied, "Can you repeat that, Dr. Claudia?" And then came in with the chorus, "We are the inmates, we are the inmates, we are the inmates, we are the inmates trapped in our fear." So, you know, it's almost like a tribal chant from the inmates, you know, almost like a war cry, if you will, you know, because they're moving forward and they want to put the fear of God into these people that are imprisoning them and experimenting on them. So it's almost like a chant, a war cry, a war chant sort of thing. Scrawled in blood, signs and wicked play, hiding from the warden's eyes in the shade. This macabre fortress where we reside will crumble and fall as we revolt and escape. So there you go, just that last line there, you know, revolt and escape. So, you know, they're trying to get away from the oppression, the tyranny of these doctors, scientists that are fucking with them, basically. You know, scrawled blood, signs and wicked play. So this is probably things like, you know, smearing their blood on the wall, writing, you know, like writing the doctors are fucked up, or, you know, I can't sleep and it's XYZ doctor's fault, or, you know, just writing their grievances on the wall in their blood, perhaps. That's what that's suggesting. Hiding from the warden's eyes in the shade, so doing everything they can, you know, so to not attract attention to themselves, so the warden doesn't go, right, you're next, I'm going to fuck with you next, maybe. This macabre fortress where we reside. I cannot say that, where we reside. You know, they're talking about the Zornheym Mental Institute, and the institute will crumble and fall as we revolt and escape. Self-explanatory. It then goes back to that nurse saying, "We need help. The inmates in Wing A are rioting." To which he's replied, "I'm sending over Dr. Bachman's group." And then it goes into an altered version of the chorus. It goes, "We are the inmates. We are the inmates. Here we will make a stand. Break out with our very own hands. Inmates arise." And then it went into a beautiful instrumental moment, and then it went back in, "We are the inmates, we are the inmates, here we will make a stand, break out with our very own hands, inmates arise, all for one, none for all." So there you go, you know, so the all for one and none for all, so it's like the inmates are grouping together, you know, all for one, we're all fighting for the same purpose. But really, the none for all, that, I mean, they're not really, once they escape, they're not going to have anything, you know, because everything they've come to rely upon for however long they've been within the asylum is in the asylum. They have nothing for them on the outside, so there's really nothing for the people that escape except for their freedom. So yeah, this is like the revolt, the revolution of the inmates of the album, which makes me wonder what the next album is going to be about. I'm assuming there's going to be a next album. I bloody hope there is, because their music is brilliant. Maybe the riot doesn't succeed. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. But this is one of the things I really like. I've mentioned it hundreds of times before. You know, I've done close to 900 videos on this channel, and I've mentioned so many times that I like it when songs have stories, when songs have meanings. You know, and whilst this is a fictional story, there's still a story to it. You know, there's some structure to it. There's an overarching tale behind all of the songs that they've released. You know, they all have a purpose in the overall narrative. And, you know, I like it when bands do that, because it takes a lot of skill. You know, you can sit there and you can write a book. That takes a lot of skill. You can sit there, you can write music. Writing music is a hell of a skill. It is a brilliant skill. Writing songs is a brilliant skill, but to combine all of those elements together is unbelievable. You know, to write a story with music and lyrics that all make sense, it's all interconnected, it all tells one big overarching story over several albums. You know, it's very, very impressive. And, you know, like my friends at Ward 16, you know, they do the same thing, and all of their songs are oddly about a mental asylum, but they only focus on one main character, but still they tell one overarching story over the course of several albums. So it's something that I'm impressed by, because you know, to make it all come together and all make sense within the confines of this one story over several albums, which are released like 1, 2, sometimes 3 years apart. You know, you've got to make it all make sense and make it all come together and make each chapter, as it will, satisfying. You know, there's got to be a sort of a resolution to each album, but you don't want to resolve the entire story. So, you know, yeah, it's something that I really enjoy. I mean, for all I know, this might be a track off an upcoming album. I don't know. And this might come later on in the album. I don't know. This could be coming towards the end of a third album. Or it could be in the middle of a third album. It could be right at the beginning of a third album, for all I know. Or it might just be a standalone track as an interim between second and third albums. Who knows? But I'm really, really waffling and talking utter bollocks here, aren't I? But, you know, Zornheym never fail to produce great music. You know, like I said, every single piece of music they've ever brought out, I have thoroughly enjoyed. You know, they are an outstanding band with outstanding talent. You know, brilliant songwriters, brilliant music composers. Their performances overall have always been outstanding, and this is no different. An exceptional piece of music. I really, really like it. And thank you again to Zornheym for supplying me with the lyrics to this song. I really do appreciate it. I mean, obviously they know that I like to talk about the songs. You know, I am friends with some of them, and, well, you know, the fact that they've asked me to have a look at it, and, you know, they either only want the free publicity, or they like the fact that I do talk about what the song's about. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just talking bollocks. So, yeah, outstanding piece of music, and I'm really looking forward to more from this band. Like I said, they've never failed to entertain. They've never failed to impress. So there's that. I don't know what else I can say on that. So I'll leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or a subscribe if you haven't already, because it really, really would help me out. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and not even 2% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed, which is a little bit disheartening, because I do put a lot of time and a lot of effort into recording these videos. I try to do a lot of research for them. I try to look up the lyrics for them, you know, and that can be proved to be difficult for some songs. You know, and I like to talk about, weird breaking my voice, I like to talk about what the songs are about, because I think that's something that gets overlooked quite frequently in heavy metal music. You know, many people seem to think that heavy metal music is all about evil, it's all about Satan, it's all about devil worship, it's all about sacrificing virgins or murdering people, and it's not. You know, out of the close to 900 songs that I've looked at on this channel, most of them, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say about 98, maybe 99% of the songs I've looked at on this channel have all had some kind of narrative or some real world meaning, whether it be talking about poverty, homelessness, domestic abuse, depression, mental health issues, you know, anxiety, things like that. You know, a lot of the songs I've looked at have talked about real world things, and this gets overlooked, and this is why I like to talk about what the songs are about, so people can understand who might have been ignorant to it before. You know, I had friends back in school who were just convinced that heavy metal was just about shouting, screaming and curse words. You know, and that's, as far as they were concerned, that's all that it was about. You know, but really, a lot of heavy metal music has a lot more depth and meaning than, well, most popular and chart music. You know, a lot of popular and chart music are very self-serving and vapid. So, you know, this is why I like doing it the way that I do it. You know, I know a lot of other reactors just look at a piece of music and go, yeah, I like it, or no, I didn't, and nearly every single reactor looks at a piece of music and then overreacts to it, going, oh my god, that bass riff was just amazing, you know, and really they'd go, nice. You know, I don't do that. I've always wanted to keep my reactions genuine. I wanted to give my honest opinions, and maybe that's not what people are after, I don't know, but I sort of went off on a tangent there. But it's just that thing, because, you know, I actually recently considered stopping doing this because people just aren't watching my videos, and maybe they just don't like the format that I use. I don't know. But anyway, if you could like and subscribe, it really would help me out. It would make the hugest difference to this channel. But anyway, I'm going to leave that as it is. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.